Yeah, I think what you're seeing on the Republican side is that voters are seeing this as really two people at the top of the race fighting it out, and then Rubio in third place with a whole string of the rest of the candidates in single digits in terms of their support. So this Trump Cruz dynamic that we've seen in the news quite a bit in the last week or two is really bearing out in the polling as well. So we have Trump up by one, which is a tie. So 26 to 25, Trump versus Cruz, with Rubio at 13%. In our poll, we included in our sample individuals who had voted in either 2012 or 2014 general election or have been registered since the 2014 election. So we didn't scan anybody for partisanship, or we didn't exclude non-party people. They're included in our sample. So if somebody who was not really a strong Republican or a strong Democrat, but had voted in the past, they're in the sample. So we didn't limit it just to partisans. It's to any registered voter who had voted in those 2 years and who indicates that they're likely to vote in the caucus. So that would include just a more casual voter who is motivated this time around to go out and support Donald Trump. The current results that we have on the Republican side were taken before the Palin endorsement of Donald Trump, as well as the comments by Governor Branstad. When it comes to something like the Palin endorsement, I think that has more to do with just kind of ginning up excitement on the side of the Trump side. It's not really, I don't know that it will attract a large number of voters who weren't looking at Donald Trump or Ted Cruz in the first place. I don't think it's a kind of division point between the two. But the Branstad one is more interesting to me, because at first it appeared that Governor Branstad was going to remain pretty neutral in this race. But then with the comments at the Renewable Fuel Summit, that seems to indicate that he would like to see Iowa choose anybody but Cruz. And I think that while it doesn't mean that Cruz is going to lose a lot of support, it does indicate that the political establishment in Iowa is certainly concerned, especially on this issue of ethanol. And I think the intent from Governor Branstad was probably to get voters to take a second look about that issue in Cruz's record. One thing to note is that, as with many caucus seasons, there are quite a few people who remain open to being persuaded. So we found about half the people we polled were absolutely committed to their first choice, and then about 44% were somewhat committed, identified themselves as somewhat committed. So one positive you could look at it if you're not one of the top two candidates, or even if you are the top two, is that there are people out there who might be persuadable. And it's good news for Cruz and Rubio in a way, because both of them score very high with favorability ratings, as does Dr. Carson. So there's a few candidates in the field that are pretty well thought of, and even if they're not at the top of the list as we're going into February 1st, they may get a second look as the mudslinging between the top two candidates continues.